What is up, guys? This is Frodo Baggins here, bringing you a Minecraft Let's Play video. And this is going to be a video that, honestly, I'm trying to think of how to phrase this. It's something that I always wanted to be on YouTube, but that I can never really find a very good thing of. And basically, what we're going to do today is we're going to provide a basic overview to how to get started with basic redstone knowledge. I've always had a problem with, when I was first starting out with redstone, when I first even discovered that it was there in Minecraft, I always had a problem because I had no clue how to do anything with it. But so I kept looking on YouTube to try and find like different basic redstone tutorials that just gives an overview of how stuff works, but I never could find one. So today I'm going to bring you one, a video of my very own making, with basically it's probably going to be multiple parts because I'm going to show off a bunch of different things that you can do with redstone. I'm trying to think of a good word for it, but things, I guess, is the best thing. So it's going to be multiple parts of me showing you how to use redstone. This part is probably going to be a very basic understanding of the very beginning. Basically, I know I'm rambling about nothing. Anyway, let's get on. So, basically, you always want to have a signal, and there are several ways you can make a signal. You can make it with a redstone torch, and then you can see that creates a signal. And you can also make it with a lever, a button, tripwire. There's several different kinds of buttons, and also weighted pressure plates and daylight sensors, but we'll get into these three things later. So basically, we have levers, which can be placed like that and switched on, and then once we switch it on, voila, switched off, just like that. Then we also have buttons which we can place on the side of a block and put something back there and turn it, but the buttons only give a brief signal, which is the difference. So basically, the difference between these three things are: redstone torch emits a permanent signal, lever can be turned off and on, and button only emits a very, very short signal. However, there are ways to improve each power source or edit or change the way it works in some ways. Basically, redstone torch can be turned into a redstone inverter, which basically is built like that. And then once you put that together, you can send a redstone signal into the back of that. And if you have a redstone powering source, I'm going to just make this a shorter line, I don't know why I made it so long. And if you have a powering source coming from this side, that switches the redstone torch off and causes that redstone to go off. So let's say, I mean, you get the idea. You can basically reverse signals. And redstone, or a lever, doesn't really have any special stuff about it that I can think of. I might think of something later. But anyway, buttons, you can make their signal permanent if you create a little contraption that you've probably seen me build before if you've seen any of my other videos with redstone. But you can also do something like this, and you can put a piston there, block there, piston there, and a redstone torch with a repeater there. And then whatever you want to power on this side, continuing a redstone signal. So now when we press the button, that gets flipped, and then that powers, this redstone signal travels through a block and gets powered over here, which causes the buttons thing to be permanent. The only problem is that now, in order to turn the thing off, we either need to create a redstone inverter here and have a separate button, or we can just create a separate button that leads to this piston, just whichever one you want. Doesn't really matter. This way's a little more complicated, but anyway, we also, I left something out. I just realized we also have our redstone or tripwires, and if we skip, let's just do that far and put that there. Yeah, that'll work. And then we need string. to put in between it and connect the hooks. Put that there. Step on it. Works like a pressure plate. That's another thing, a way you can power redstone I just thought of. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of all this different stuff after I've already explained. See, basically whatever this tripwire hook is connected to, it will light the redstone. But as I said, there's also one other thing. I keep forgetting this stuff here. My inventory's full. There we go. We can also put a redstone pressure plate and create that, but once again, it only stays as long as you stand on the pressure plate. Same with the tripwires. It only stays as long as you stand on them. Again, you could create that little mechanism over there for either of these things to make their signals permanent, but you get the idea. So basically that's the beginning of like learning how to power things. Also, well, no, hang on. I'll get into other stuff later, but for now, this will be our next lesson. So now, you have your redstone torch, and you take your redstone path, you're trying to power something that's way over here, but then you realize, eventually, that your signal is running out. And let's say we put a piston over here, or up here, I guess would make more sense. It does not get powered because this redstone is not powered anymore. Basically, a redstone torch has a signal of only up to 15 blocks, and there are several things you can do about this. One of them is a little more complicated, and I'll probably get into it in one of the future videos in this series, but this way is the easiest way. You take a redstone repeater, you break one of the redstone blocks, and you put that in its place. And basically what the redstone repeater does, it has several functions, but this is the most basic of its functions, is that it repeats the signal, as the name implies. It repeats the signal all the way down to this thing. So let's say we have 15 blocks and then we place a redstone repeater. The signal is then repeated another 15 blocks, and then you run to the end of that, you place another repeater, so on and so on. That's the most simple use of repeaters that there is. Now, the other use of a repeater, and that would be, let's say you have a lever here, but you want to send a redstone signal to a piston, but you don't want the piston to be activated the second you flip the lever. So your solution is to put a delay on your redstone signal. You put a repeater here and you set it to however long you want the delay to be. So let's say you want it to be that long. That's about the length of 1 tick, or 2 ticks. This is about the length of 3 ticks, and then 4 ticks. Just gets slower each time you go further out. Basically, you just switch that by right-clicking. Anyway, another simple use for repeaters, but that's probably about as complicated as they get. You can also create what's called a repeater clock if you wanted. I usually build mine about like this, and then you just put your redstone in the corners, and you're definitely going to want these to be all the way back. And then this is kind of a glitch, I suppose, but not really. Basically, you place that, and then you hang on. Oh, I messed it up. Sorry. This is kind of difficult to time. So basically, you place that, destroy it, put redstone there, and then the signal will just repeat over and over and over again forever. So if you want a repeating signal, this is one way to do it. You just, anytime, let's say you put a piston here, just keep using pistons because it's what I have on me. The piston will go in and out, just in and out, forever. Until you stop it, of course. Anyway, now we have now that we've built our repeater clock, I think that's about it for repeaters. So let's cover the next thing on the list. We can do, let's say, dispensers next. I'm just kind of going through these item lists and giving you a brief tutorial on that item. Dispensers. So you can do this for adventure maps, lots of different uses for the dispenser. Basically what it does, let's say you have an adventure map and you want some mobs to spawn when someone steps on a pressure plate as like a trap, or you could use a tripwire hooks, whatever you think is more concealable. Anyway, so you get your spawn eggs that you, whatever mob you want to spawn, let's just say creepers just because they're cool. And you put your spawn egg inside the dispenser, and you can also, of course, put as many stacks in there as you want. Let's say creeper. I'm just going to fill it all the way up. Might as well. And then, once again, you come back in here, throw it all in there. We need 3 more. This is a good way to challenge yourself for a survival thing. If you switch the game mode to survival and then, hang on, I'm trying to focus here. Sorry. If you switch the game mode to survival and then you wanted to, let's say, fight a bunch of creepers, you could hook this dispenser up to a redstone clock like we have over there, and it'll just constantly start spitting out creepers, and you have to try and battle them or whatever you want to do with it. I mean, again, like I said, you could put a pressure plate back here that's like a trap, or you could hide the, of course you could hide the redstone to lead up to the dispenser and again create a trap for an adventure map or whatever. Next block on the list is, that's a very simple block. It can be placed in several different orientations. Of course, it can be placed straight forward, sideways, of course both sideways versions of the, both different directions I should say, and backwards, whatever, all that. But then it can also be placed, hang on, let me get some quartz. Quartz, where are you? Right there. It can also be placed, and this is an interesting way to place them, it can help certain things. If you want it to rain a block, if you want to make it rain, hang on, place it too low. There you go, boom. And then that's now facing down, it can go that way. I don't think it can go straight up, but other than that, that's the dispenser basically. Next redstone block, by the way, I've just been informed that we officially have 100 subs. Don't worry, we'll make a 100 sub special video later on, but for now I'm just going to continue this video. Anyway, we all know about TNT, but I might still do a thing on it. But first, let's cover note blocks. Note blocks are fairly simple, yet amazingly complex at the same time. Basically, you can do a bunch of things with note blocks, but the idea is that it creates different sounds based on what block it's on top of. As you can see, this is kind of an annoying sound. I don't like that sound. But if it's placed, let's say, on wool of any type, doesn't matter what color, just use some orange, doesn't matter. Just happened to be the first one that caught my eye. Anyway, put it there. It now plays kind of like a piano kind of a tune. And if it's placed on any kind of stone, it makes that really ugly noise that we just heard. Cobblestone, actually, I think it makes a different noise. No, it doesn't. Just that ugly noise. I think on top of like ore blocks, it makes a different noise. I'm not sure. Oh, same as with the wool. But there's a bunch of different things you can do. I'm not an expert on note blocks. As I said, they're kind of difficult to learn, but for now this will do. Just, you get the idea. Different sounds based on what thing they're set on. You can change the tone, and you can also create a redstone clock to make it repeat. You can also create note block songs, which is really complicated, but it's not that hard to do. It's just hard to time correctly and whatnot. Let's say we want our note block song to go like this. Hang on. You just have to set up these repeaters and then put some redstone down and put another thing right here and put a block and a button. But no, I'm joking. It's immature. So then we would just place our note blocks down. Just gonna set it to any random tone. It won't sound very good, but it'll get the point across. then fix that. Anyway, now we need a button, and you get the idea. You can space these out to make it have more delay, less delay, anything you want, basically. Note blocks are kind of an interesting feature. I like them, but they're very hard to use, so I don't really use them a lot. You can create doorbells. Just put a button on the front of your house, and every time you press it, a note block plays a sound, and voila, you have a doorbell. It's not that hard to actually work with them. It's just difficult to get them to sound good. So now, next block. I think this will have to be the last block, most likely, because we're about out of time. So we can cover sticky pistons and pistons. This is a broad category. You can do a lot of different things with these. I mean, a ton. Just like anything, basically. There's people that make some really amazing stuff with pistons. You can look it up on YouTube. Look at amazing things. Of course, I've made a few piston doors and stuff in my time, but anyway. So basically, the difference between sticky pistons and pistons is sticky pistons. If you have a block, hang on, let me get some quartz, as I always use. And if you have a block here, using a sticky piston, you can keep the block, and the block will stay against the piston. And then using a regular piston, what happens is you get the block that does not stay. Even if you place it up against it to start, does not stay. Basically, just leaves it there. Both can be useful. I think sticky pistons are personally more useful, but again, it just depends on what situation you want to use it for, because you can use them for almost anything. You can place these in, of course, a bunch of different orientations too. Just any way you want, basically. Place them down. You can watch some of my piston door tutorials to learn about some cool stuff you can do with them. Again, you can make this little contraption over here where you have the permanent button signal. Just lots of different things you can do with most of this redstone stuff. You can do just anything you want. That's the great thing about redstone. You can create anything in Minecraft that you please to make. Anyway, I believe that'll just about sum up this video for now. I will be back with part 2 in a little while, and I might just post it like 2 videos in a row. I don't know. Anyway, I'll be back. See you guys later. Bye.